gun here. Now, if any of y'all watched my last extras video, then you saw that the latest drunken gun broker binge that I went on. Now, if you haven't checked out that unboxing video, go and do that first. It'll save me the trouble of repeating myself a little. And as much as I love to hear myself talk, I hate having to edit these videos down to about 15 minutes each, because I babble on and rant about nothing. And anytime I start chopping away, I end up cutting out all my best little jokes and giggles. So just go watch the other one. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Sauer MCX Virtus upper receiver. So now that I've had this thing for a few days, I finished building up all the bits around it, and I am ready to debutt this little fucker for y'all. So here we go. Now, this is not a true MCX Virtus. The lower receiver is an Aero Precision. So I didn't feel like waiting around and then paying all the extra money for a Sauer lower. And I'll get into why. But before we do all that, we're gonna go from ass to mouth, because that's how I roll. Now on the ass end, we have the SP Tactical FS 1913A stabilizing brace. This one here is the more expensive aluminum shaft model. I got it from Joe Bob Outfitters for about 200 bucks. Now, I like buying from Joe Bob Outfitters because anytime I can give my money to a fellow redneck, it's pretty awesome. And they don't rip people off. So if Joe Bob Outfitters ever sees this, and they won't, and they want to sponsor me, and they won't, I'd be all for it. So the lower receiver that we have here is an Aero Precision lower. I opted to not try and buy the complete rifle and opted instead to just buy the upper receiver. And there's a couple reasons for this. I, for one, didn't really feel like paying the extra money to buy the whole rifle. It's easy to buy an upper receiver, don't have to go through the FFL process, all that jazz. I already had extra lowers, and the benefits to the Sauer lower receiver are you get full ambidextrous controls. The downsides are it's bigger, heavier than it needs to be, more complicated because it's got more parts in it. And quite frankly, I just didn't think that it was all that necessary.
Necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine?
Probably not.
No, but I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
So I was willing to take the sacrifice and go with a standard lower receiver and lose out on the option of having the ambidextrous everything. Now, before y'all go slamming me in the comment section about the need for ambidextrous everything, please understand that it has always been a joke taking shots at the people that can't pronounce the fucking word properly. It don't take a goddamn rocket surgeon to go to Webster's dictionary and look at the phonetical spelling. Don't believe me? I will show you.
Ambidextrous. Ambidextrous. Ambidextrous.
So do I really care about having full ambidextrous controls on a carbine? No, not really. I like having an ambi safety. And the ambi charging handles are nice. But anything else is just a nice to have. Militaries around the world have been using the AR platform in some capacity since 1964 and have managed to figure out how to survive without full ambi controls for the majority of that span. I just like making fun of idiots that show their fucking faces on YouTube and act like they're fucking PhDs in gunology, yet can't even use a fucking English language proper like. Alright, sorry about that. Continuing on with the receiver. The Aero has an adapter plate on the back that allows for a standard AR lower to mate up with the MCX upper. This really just means it has this beefed up area to cover the gap where the recoil assembly would be sticking out. and it has the 1913 section so you can mount a buttstock. It also does have a little bit of a rubber bumper on the inside. We'll look at that when we take this thing apart. But aside from that, I believe this is a K&S Precision adapter plate that I purchased. SIG does sell, it might even be the same one, or it might be their own version of it. Either way, this is the one I got. Now moving on up, I switched things up a touch. This here is a B5 grip rather than a Magpul. I normally use the Magpuls. I just really want to try something different. I do actually like the texture on this one quite a bit. It's a lot more aggressive than the typical Magpul ones. And the grip angle's nice. So, I don't know, pretty cool. It's a little beefy on the beaver tail here, but that's all right. And it fits good. Now the safety here is a Radian Talon because I like them. And it does have the 45-degree throw. This one you can actually just rotate the drum if you wanted the full 90-degree throw, but I don't know, why bother? Now, I put in a K&S anti-rotation pin kit on this one. I have these on my go-to carbine builds, but and I haven't really been using them much since I did those, but I did it specifically because of this trigger. Funny little story. I did acquire this thing probably about 4 months ago, long before I even got the upper, long before I could ever find an upper, just because I knew I was going to be building this thing out. So I had the adapter plate, I had the trigger, and this whole lower was pretty much already built up, waiting for the rest of the parts to show up. Now the rest of the lower is pretty standard fare. I did put an enhanced trigger guard. This is just a Magpul enhanced trigger guard polymer. And there's nothing fancy on the other side. Like I said, the safety is ambidextrous.
You serious?
Had to throw that one in there, why not? But everything else on here is just standard stuff. I don't even remember what kit I used. It was either a CMMG or a Daniel Defense lower receiver build kit for the pins and the mag release and the bolt catch and whatnot. Now we'll move on up to the upper, and charging handle is the SIG charging handle that ships with it. So it is ambidextrous, which is cool, but I've seen a lot of videos of people complaining about this thing kind of just being super nubby. And right now, if you look at it, you're thinking, well, it don't look all that bad. And this is true, until you go and do something like this. So I love using magnifiers because I'm blind as shit. So it kind of helps me see what the hell I'm shooting at.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
But with at least this EOTech has the quick throw lever version of the magnifier mount, and you can see you got almost no clearance between this lever and the charging handle lever, so that would be really annoying. So this thing's coming off, and I ain't gonna use it on this particular gun. For now, I got an EOTech. This one, slowly I'm kind of rotating my EOTechs out of service. Trying to replace them with shit where the batteries aren't going to die on me in 15 minutes. But because I got astigmatism, I got to be careful about what kind of optics I buy. Now, the stock handguard, that was one of the first things to go, actually. So the stock handguard, I mean, there's nothing incredibly wrong with it, except that it's got this really, wide girth. And so normally that doesn't bother me too much because I don't, seat clamp or any of that shit. That's not the way I like to grip my rifles or pistols in this case. But as you can see, the Midwest Industries rail here, they took off a lot of that empty extra space down here. I do really like the feel of this handguard, and the other benefit to this handguard versus this one, you only get the M-LOK slots at the 3, 6, and 9, whereas this gives you, you know, more options for where you're going to move shit around. And that came in handy with this flashlight, as we'll get to. And you even have some offset M-lock down here on the in-betweens. So as far as the rest of it goes, we just have a Surefire Scout, you know, the dual fuel. I use these on everything. And this was running up to a mod button because I pretty much use those on everything. Now, this mod button happened to have one of the longer cable leads. That's because that's what was in stock when I was trying to buy it. But I was able to slinky the wire around underneath and route it through one of my Monstrum cable guides, and keeping the wire nice and tight and out of the way. And I didn't have to worry about things flopping around or the wire potentially getting snagged on something when I'm moving around. So all in all, nice setup. And you know, with the mount that you get with the Surefires, I'm able to pivot the light no matter what. And this thing's already pinned all the way up, and there's no contact. There is daylight all the way through the bezel, and between the handguard and the bezel. So yeah, I already verified all that. This thing's good to go. And so I like the position of it. It's out of the way, and even if I had to switch to offhand, it's still out of the way. You know, I'd have to reach over and up in order to get to the button, or reach over and up to get to the button. But the light isn't going to impede my grip, regardless of which hand I'm actually holding the gun with. So this setup is actually really, really cool. For now, I've left the factory 3-prong flash hider on here. I haven't decided exactly which way I'm going to go with this thing yet. I may swap it out for an AAC. This is one of the 51T, 52T. I can never remember how many fucking T's there are. But I could put one of these guys on there, and then I could use one of my AAC silencers. The other thing I was thinking about, the barrels have a taper, and so if I had a direct thread taper silencer, which I don't, I could use that, or the Q muzzle devices actually are designed for taper, because all the Q barrels have a taper too. So I could use one of their, I think they call them a cherry bomb, and put that on there, and then I could actually use like a Thunder Chicken or a Trash Panda silencer on this particular gun. So that's it. Now, I filmed that whole thing, my big diatribe about this gun, and I forgot to take it apart. Dick, these guys are in your next gift box, so you got something to look forward to. Figured I'd just throw that out there for you, Bile. So they're coming soon, brother. But these pins are pretty tight. The front one, because it's partially holding on the handguard, and the rear one because, much like the actual 6 Sauer, I opted to install one of these Accu wedges. They're kind of corny, and it doesn't really take out all the wobble, but it does help a touch. While I got this up, the Gasly trigger, this is specifically made for the MCX. This also includes the bridge right here, because I guess these things, much like the MPX, have a higher cyclic rate and can beat up your disconnector if you don't have some kind of reinforcement down there. Okay, y'all might have noticed a little bit of a time jump there. I've tried filming this sucker about 25 times.
Inconceivable!
And during the editing process, I chop it all to bits, and it was so jumpy and clumsy that all of a sudden the gun just kind of came back together, and I tried mumbling my way through a closeout. So I'm going to do this one last time and see if I can coherently put a bow on this little bitch. So what do I think of this gun so far? Well, I have yet to shoot it as of when I'm filming this for the 25th time. And I do think it is a little heavy for a 11.5-inch barrel, especially considering that my go-to carbine is also an 11.5-inch barrel. and has a lot more shit on it, and yet is approximately the same weight, maybe a touch heavier. But this one is completely front heavy because it's got this tiny little feather weight of a brace on the back end and a big heavy piston and a pretty heavy profile barrel, as well as all the accessories on the front end. So in the end, it feels a little bit more nose heavy, but it's really not terrible.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing.
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let me put it that way. I love the overall feel, and I like the versatility and the configuration that I've got going on here. Optics, I'm sure that's going to change about 250 billion times over the course of the life of this rifle. But overall, this definitely scratched the itch that I've had for well over a year to get my hands on one of these puppies. So I'm very excited. I cannot wait to get out to the range and make it go bang, as y'all keep asking me to do. And, you know, I'm going to have me some fun with it.
I'm gonna have me some fun. 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 I'm gonna have me some fun.
But until then, also got some other stuff in the works, because this project is not quite done yet. And, you know, I'll reveal more in the coming weeks and show y'all what I got cooking. But I'm excited about what I got here today, and I'm excited about what's coming up in the future. So until then, thank y'all for watching. Be sure to go and check out my brother Dick over at his channel. It's Douchebag's Brother Dick. You'll see a link in the video description down below. And remember,
I don't know who you are out there, but I have a gun.